So, one of my absolute favorite things in my practice over the last 25 years has been the ability to travel the world and meet really amazing, unique orthopedic surgeons. And that's exactly what we're doing on this episode. We're bringing on a dear friend of mine, Julian Machado, who's an orthopedic surgeon that specializes in knee surgery from Brasília, Brazil. We've met several times along. I've been to his home, he's been to my home, and it's really become it's just an amazing story about how you meet these unique people and they take you to their cities. And when you're with them, you're not a tourist, you're doing the things that they do. And it's really become one of the great passions for me. I truly miss it in this pandemic. And so some really fond memories of the times that Julian and I have had sharing with our families as well. So I really enjoyed this episode. I hope you do as well. I am really excited. We're taking a little pivot here at the Ortho Show, and we're bringing you now Pitch Pro. We have an amazing group of panelists. Think of it sort of like a Shark Tank for orthopedics. Joe Mullings, Vin Dasa, the Fro, and the bearded one, Matthew Ray Scott, on a panel where medical device and pharma companies come in to pitch their story. We listen, we talk, we provide advice, and it is a hoot. We have amazing personalities. We provide amazing counsel and advice to these groups. We are having a lot of fun. You guys are going to love it. Pitch Pro by the Ortho Show.
For medical media, this is the Ortho Show.
Hello, world. Dr. Scott Sigman, your favorite opioid-sparing orthopedic surgeon, healer of knees and shoulders left and right, here for another episode of the Ortho Show podcast, where we bring you the best of the best in the orthopedic world. And when I say world, I mean the world, because today we have a dear friend of mine, Dr. Julian Machado, who's an orthopedic surgeon who specializes in the knee from Brasília, Brazil, the capital of Brazil. Julian, it's a pleasure. It's so good to see you again, my friend. How are you?
I'm fine. It's a great honor to be with you. Oh, my God. I miss you a lot, man. You know, we have a story.
We have so much history together. It's really amazing. And we've had so many opportunities to potentially get back together. I was going to come to Brazil, and hopefully you would come back to Boston. But obviously a little bit of a world pandemic can sort of put the kibosh on that stuff. But I'm glad to see that you are well. How is Luan and the girls? Everybody's good, I hope?
Yes, everybody's fine. Here in Brasília, the pandemic, the COVID, wasn't so bad, you know? We had like a peak in July, August last year, and in March of this year, we had some bad time too. But now it's very quiet here. We're coming back with our works, and we're coming back with our lives, you know. And we have the vaccine here is about 30% of the population in Brasília now.
That's great. Well, I mean, from what I remember from Brasília, it really is sort of an interesting city. I mean, it's isolated. I mean, it was built specifically to become the capital of Brazil. And I remember you so fondly being so proud, you know, of your home city and the way that it's designed. If I'm not mistaken, it's like an airplane, if I'm not right. Like there's the center and then the wings that go off to the side. And so I know that people from flying in from all over the country and all over the world, but Brasília itself is relatively isolated from many other parts of Brazil, which I know have been really hit very hard.
Yes, we are in the center of the country. It's not very isolated. We have some big cities now around Brasília, but being the capital, we have a responsibility with a great region, you know. We have a 3.5 million population here. We have this form of a plane, yes, and we have like the neighbors are call it like south wing, north wing. That's the way it is here, but we have a lot of responsibility with about 10 million people around Brasília. in the health system of Brazil, and it's a lot of responsibility. Now we're really not so isolated. And Brasilia now, in 2019, we were the biggest hub for domestic flights in Brazil. We connected all the country with flights from our airport here. But with the pandemic, we stopped it. Now, it's a little bit more quiet here.
Yeah, no, I know that there's been a lot of reports. It's funny. One of the things that I've been involved in is my laser. I'm not sure if you're familiar, but we use laser to help patients with COVID, and we've had inquiries from around the world. And one of the countries that is really a big believer in the potential for laser is Brazil, and they use laser, quite frequently. So I've been in touch, and I've had many doctors and professors who have read my article, who've reached out to me for protocols. And so I'm hopeful that despite the fact that the pandemic is hitting really still very hard, that perhaps some of these treatment modalities are helping the people.
Yes, it's a model they're using here in the ICU. We're using laser here to help them, trying to keep them alive. We have a lot. We have a health system here. We call SUS. It means like universal health system, and we had a hard time last year, and we are having a hard time now. But our health system are doing great. We are keeping most of the people well, and but we have a lot of casualties.
It's been India is also really bad at this point. For us, it's very similar to your story here in Boston. Now, our numbers are way down. Most people, at least 50% or so now, have been vaccinated, and most of the major cities are going to completely open, which is pretty amazing. And even the masks mandate are now going away. Our CDC basically took away the mask mandate. I think they're doing that on purpose because I think they want everybody to get vaccinated. So if you've been vaccinated, you can take off your mask, but if you haven't, you got to keep it on. So I think that's what they're trying to do. But yeah, no, I think we've gotten very busy once again in orthopedics. Lots of injuries, lots of sports injuries that are happening now because people are getting back into it as well. Julian, what we always like to do is I love the stories of the doctors that we bring on the show. And if I'm not mistaken, your father was an orthopedic surgeon. Is that correct? And so that's where orthopedics came for you very early in life?
Yes. I graduated in med school in 1998, and I start my residency here in Brasília. In the hospital there, my father was the chief, and I started I always dreamed to be a doctor because of him, and I have a sad story with a happy end now, because my father last year had diagnosed with a lymphoma, and he treated it, and the happy end is he's now well, but he quit the medicine. He's not working anymore, and it's happy because he's alive and he's with us and everything. But he was always my example. His specialty is trauma. He is a trauma surgeon. It was very common in Brazil in the late 70s, in the early 80s, that the orthopedic surgeons were all trauma surgeons. They used to perform just treating the fractures. And when I come and I start my doing the residency, I start thinking about to do something different. I love trauma. I performed some trauma surgeries until now, but I started to study, and I went to São Paulo, our biggest city here, and I made my fellowship in USP, University of São Paulo. That's the number one university in Latin America, if you see. And I made my fellowship there in knee surgery with a very famous orthopedic surgeon that was a very good friend of my father, Dr. Camanho. Gilberto Camanho, and I started working here. That's it. That's my story. I walk a little bit around the world. I have been in 2007 in Germany with Frank Lamp in Endoclinicum in Hamburg. And I when you come to Brazil, the first time we met, I was the chief in the Santa Helena hospital, and that hospital was sold for another group. And now I am the head in orthopedic surgery in a bigger hospital that's Santa Lúcia in the south wing of Brasília. And it's we have here in Brazil, we have two kinds of medicine. We have the public health, the public medicine, and the private medicine, the private health. And Santa Lúcia is the biggest hospital in private medicine here in all this region, and I am at the head of the orthopedic surgery chair here. We have we have residents, and we have lots of things here. We have a lot of fun here with them. And I am working in Hospital de Base. That's the biggest public hospital in the center of the country. We have now working with the COVID 1.1 thousand beds. We have like lots of patients there, and orthopedic surgery is coming back with great force to the elective procedures, and that's it. That's my life now.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, I'm so happy to hear about your father and that he's well. And what an amazing story that, you and your father would operate when he got tired. His hands were tired, but his brain wasn't. And so you guys could still work together and be able to take care of patients. And that has to have some amazingly fun memories of that process with you and your dad. So really happy to hear that he's doing well. I think it's also pretty neat. That's another thing, in the States, we have a very different system. Everybody goes to basically pretty much you just have one system, and some people have insurance from the government and other people have the private insurance, but pretty much everybody goes to the same hospitals. I really commend you for being both in the private sector and the public sector. I know that you're so passionate about all the things that you do around knee surgery. So really, really pleased to hear that. So, I'm just thinking the first time I went to Brazil, I think was in 2009. Do you remember Hema Pineda? Hema was from MyTech and from Johnson and Johnson.
Yeah.
And she would run. So she was part of the roadshow where we met the second time, but she would host this thing called the Latin American Forum, which was down in São Paulo, Brazil. And it was unbelievable. They brought in like 250 orthopedic surgeons from all over Brazil. And then it was like an industry sponsored event. And they had dinners and shows and lectures. And I was like, oh my God, what an amazing time that was. And then I came back, and that's when we met the time at your place where we did a road show. Hem and I did a road show. We went to all of these amazing cities. We spent almost 2 weeks down there moving around, and it was awesome to meet you. We went to São Paulo. We went to, I know I'm going to butcher these names, but one of my favorite cities is it Belo Horizonte or
Belo Horizonte.
I know. There you go. Thank you for saying that correctly for me. That reminded me of San Francisco. It was a beautiful country, beautiful city with we went to the Mater Dei Hospital, I believe, and but it's sort of hilly. Yeah, Mater Dei. Yeah, exactly. And then we came and saw you in Brasília, and you nearly killed. It was death by meat. Do you remember? You took me to a Brazilian barbecue. We sat there for 3.5 hours. I've never eaten so much meat in my life. Do you remember that night?
Yeah, I remember. I can't forget it. I can't forget it. We have a lot of fun stories to tell. It was huge. You went to Fogo de Chão. That's a big barbecue, Brazilian barbecue. We call it churrascaria because we call barbecue churrasco here. In Argentina they call parrilla, and here we call churrasco, and that's different. But the idea is the same. Eat a lot of meat. Eat a lot of meat. That's what we like here in Brazil. And my father is from the south of Brazil, and and the original Brazilian barbecue came from there. You know, they used to raise the cattle. They have the farms with the cows, and my father come from there. So I needed to take you to have a really huge Brazilian barbecue, and I want you to come back here, and we can do it again.
Trust me, if I come back, it was 15 courses of meat. I actually counted myself. I couldn't move for 2 days. I'm like, it was unbelievable. But every course was so absolutely delicious. I couldn't say no. But that was amazing. And then from there, I don't know if I even told you this story. What is it? Campania? Is that another city? Campania or no? Am I saying it wrong?
Campinas.
Yes, Campinas. Oh my God, that was I gotta tell that story. So I'm like, we're there, and I'm giving a lecture on arthroscopic Latarjet, and we have to pull into the gas station to fill up. And of course, we had security, and we had a driver. He was driving us around, and I'm like passing out in the front seat, and all of a sudden I hear this click click on the window. And I look over, and there's a 16-year-old kid with a gun pointed at the driver. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, this is not good. And the driver was like, he got flustered. He gave him his wallet, and he gave him his watch. And I'm like, I have my passport. So I like just threw my Apple Watch at the kid. And then he got super nervous, and then he took off. And so, I mean, the moral of the story, the joke of the story is that I got twice as many steps now because I got a Brazilian kid running around with my Apple Watch down there, and I got my new Apple Watch up here. But it was that was a little bit of a frightening moment. The J&J people threw up a big alert and alarm and everything, but it's all good at the end. We all did fine.
Thank God. But it's not so common here. And I told you when you went here in Brasília. Here in Brasília, we have more security. It's not a place for this kind of violence. We don't have it here, thank God. But we know that in Brazil we have lots of places that are very dangerous. But Campinas is not a place like that.
I know. They were all freaked out. They couldn't believe it. All the docs when I went, because I still gave the lecture. I mean, from there we went right over, and I put the lecture on, and everybody's like, we live in this nice neighborhood. This has never happened before. And everybody was so apologetic. And I was like, hey, look, it's good. No worries. I'll get another watch. We'll be fine. It was a freak thing. So all good though. And so then, I think was it probably a year or 2 years later, you came to the Brigham, right? You did a traveling fellowship at the Brigham for about 6 weeks, which was phenomenal for you. And then you and I got to spend some time in the operating room together in my office, that was fantastic. Yeah. And it was just really nice to.
I have the pictures, and I use it because you have the system, the customized system.
Yes.
And we don't have it here yet. We're Anvisa, the Brazilian FDA.
It's even more restrictive than the FDA.
Very more restrictive. Thank you.
That's right. We use the patient-specific instrumentation. We have a lot of guests on the show too, which is basically we do a CAT scan of the patient before surgery, and we get all of the angles and everything, and then we make these custom cutting blocks that we use one time only for the patients. And I like to say, you measure twice and you cut once, and that really helps to increase the accuracy for doctors that are not doing as many total knee replacements as others.
You can do it in like 20 minutes, and your patients go home in the same day. Yes, that's great. Yeah, I can't do it here yet, but I'm when it comes here, probably in the end of this year, I will went to Boston to see you. I will go to Boston to see you, and I will want to do it again with you.
And then I'm coming down there, brother. We're Sandy from the north and we're going to come down, and we're going to hang out in Brazil with you. We're going to do some cases down in Brazil, don't you think?
Yes, that's great.
And then the other thing that was great about that time when you came back to Boston was it was over Christmas, and I know you were here, and you had your wife and the girls. And I was like, my God, it's Christmas Eve. I mean, you've got to come to the house. I'm like, I have my Italian wife. She does the Festival of the Seven Fishes for Christmas Eve. We have like 30 people at the house. I'm like, you can't be sitting in a hotel by yourself. You're going to come over for Christmas Eve dinner. And of course you did. And then I had like the worst flu. I mean, I literally could not get out of bed, but you were downstairs like the rock star that you are. And you guys had an amazing time. All five of my boys were around, and the girls got to
Yeah.
hang out. That was a really special night.
It was great for me because Brazilians have this warm thing to do the receptions, and they used to say that nobody in the world is like Brazilian, but it's not true. You are. You invited me to spend the Christmas Eve in your home, and it was a great day. But we had like a week before that. Do you remember that? I went with the girls to your house, and you show them to how to do that houses with
Oh,
candies.
the
The
gingerbread houses.
gingerbread houses. That's not common here in Brazil, and they love it. And they had a lot of fun and on that day. And we had the limoncello day too.
That's that's
Your wife's family, Sandra's family, they used to do a limoncello in each home, and we taste a lot of limoncello, and it was great.
oh,
And well, in the day we were in the OR together, we went back to your home, and I tasted one of the better wines I ever tasted in my life. You know, and we had a great time. We had a great time. I will never be able to give you to retribute you what you made for me.
oh
You
no,
know,
you're too kind.
never be able to thank you for everything you made for me and my family. They love you. The girls just passed here in front of me in home and say hi to Scott. Say hi to Scott. Okay.
I love the limoncello story because that comes from my wife's Italian family. I mean, we literally we bottle the limoncello. We have a vintage every year, and we give it away for Christmas Eve. So it's a real sort of sought after thing from many of our close friends. But you literally sit there and you peel the lemons, get the lemon zest off. You sit there for hours doing that. Then you got to go get the
Yeah,
grain alcohol,
I love it.
and
My
then
wife loves
you cook
it.
it,
And, 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 and we taste a lot of limoncello, and I bring limoncello from Boston to Brazil.
there you go. And for the record, it really wasn't Dr. Sigman that was taking the girls for the ginger house preparation. That was actually my wife, but I was there having a glass of wine.
Yeah.
No, it's
we
all
we
good.
were all together that time. We were all together.
Yeah, no, it's it's been amazing for me. I mean, I've traveled all over the world. I've had the unique opportunity to meet amazing doctors like yourself, Julian, from no less probably than a dozen countries, and it always amazes me, how warm people are when you travel to their homes and the things that you do with them. You're not a tourist when you go. Like when we were in Brasilia, you took me to the things that you would do, and I've always been fascinated by that. That's one of the loves that I've had in professional education, was to be able to exchange ideas and travel around the world and meet amazing people like yourself.
It's great. It's great. I love it too. I used to travel a lot too, and I have lots of friends in like a dozen countries too: Germany, Switzerland, America, Canada, Mexico, and all Latin America. And we have a great time. And that's true what you said. We are not tourists. We are like friends. People that are hanging around with the same things that the local people are doing. But you are a very special guy. You are different. And we had a connection like at the first met. And I don't know. It's like love at the first sign.
No, it's yeah, we definitely we broed it out very early on, and it's been great since. And I definitely for sure am excited to be able to get the opportunity to travel again. I really would love to come back and see you and the girls back in Brasília, and I know that you're going to want to travel back to America for some of these for the events that are hopefully happening soon. Actually, we're finally going to have an event in Nashville the Ortho Show is very happy that we're going to be there at the AOSSM and ANA meeting, which is in Nashville in July. Maybe you might pop up for that one if we can all travel around. So we're excited to be able to be a part of that. And Julian, it's just, this is what I love about the show. And when we sort of pivoted to the idea of these, really amazing orthopedic surgeons from around the world, it always amazes me just to talk to amazing people like yourself who are really making a difference in the planet where you are and the work that you're doing. And then you become friends and you become colleagues. And it's really, it's a pleasure, really a great pleasure to have had you on the show again, Julian, and great to see you again. And I really look forward to seeing you in person as soon as possible.
I miss you a lot, and we miss all of our friends all around the world. It's a great honor to be here with you, and we can talk a little bit about our stories, and we can talk a little bit about orthopedic surgery. And I want you to know that I learned a lot with you, and I still learning because we're in touch. And you're a great guy, you're a great friend, and I consider you like a brother, as you used to say. And it's great to me to have the opportunity to meet and to know persons like you. It's like you are a big doctor in the biggest country in the world, and it's for me it's like a great honor. I use it like I say to my friends, I have a very good friend that's a huge surgeon in Boston, Scott Sigman. And it's true. It's true.
No, you're too kind. I mean, one of my favorite sayings is, my orthopedic brother of another mother. And Julian Machado is definitely one of my orthopedic brothers. It's just such a pleasure to have you on, Julian. I think that here at the Ortho Show, again, we're so proud to have people like yourself on the show. This is Dr. Scott Sigman, #FollowTheFro, host of the Ortho Show. Till next time.